Hey there, welcome back to FreightWaves Now on this beautiful Friday afternoon in Freight Alley, Tennessee. I'm Andrew Cox alongside Kaylee Nix. We've got Steve Ferreira, the founder of Ocean Audit and the lead of our show B2B, Navigate B2B, of his show Navigate B2B that we have here on FreightWaves TV. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. Hey, Kaylee. Good morning to you guys. It's great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Steve, we literally cannot get away from talking about these hot ocean rates, what's going on in maritime. You just heard from Andrew Lockwood talking about how he flew over Port of LA yesterday and was like, what the heck? Why are there still so many ships in port? What's going on?
You know, it's in some ways, Kaylee, it's proven to be a little bit of an embarrassment to the pundits out there. I know that some of the Port of LA and Long Beach directors have made some comments that they're going to clear those surplus, but I think Containergeddon is simply too strong. And when we see what we see now, and I'm hearing so many clandestine issues of if it's mission critical, go with a freight forwarder and go with a multi-purpose vessel, control your own destiny. I think we're seeing a movement to more smaller, nimble, secret TEU, FEU missions. It's really an amazing phenomenon I'm hearing.
Yeah, I like the sound of this clandestine missions going on. Tell us a little bit about, I think there was a boat yesterday or 2 days ago that got another $100,000 per day charter, just a crazy, it's not even a very big boat. Tell us a little bit about that. Is that where you're getting your feeling here?
Well, fortunately, or unfortunately, I'm inside of a lot of really incredible deals and opportunities that the freight forwarding community or the community at large shares with me. Some companies are not quite ready to go public with what they're offering in terms of these potential zombie vessels, I like to call them. But suffice to say, I would humbly estimate there are at least another 10 to 25 multi-purpose vessels that are under charter by some of the world's leading forwarders. And so we're going to start to see more and more of this. And I'm almost beginning to believe that if it is mission critical, you should look at a forwarder opportunity on some of these zombie vessels, Andrew.
And so, Steve, you're begging the question, are ocean carriers replaceable? What are you talking about as far as replaceable in what sense? Are we just going to see more companies do what Home Depot did and be like, you know what, I want this boat, it's mine, I'm doing it for my business, my people only? What are you talking about when it comes to replacing these ocean carriers?
I think this Containergeddon and COVID has allowed the industry to think outside the box. I'll talk a little bit more about it on my Navigate B2B show this afternoon. But for example, out of Bremerhaven, Germany to San Diego, Expeditors International picked a roll-on, roll-off vessel for vessels only. For non-containerized, just for cars and trailers, and they loaded 36 dry containers for a major brewery manufacturing equipment. So I think the niche moves where you're able to command premiums of $20,000, $30,000 a container are here to stay, at least for the next 10 to 12 months, and we'll see how it tapers off. But I think that the theme for early 2022 is going to be more boutique vessels as opposed to 20,000 TEU Ever Givens.
And Steve, give us a little bit more insight on how, if you're a shipper, if you're a retailer, an importer that needs to get on one of these boutique, what is the best strategy forward? Do you try to go after some freight forwarders? They might have the capacity here. What is your advice to them?
Well, and I think, Andrew, the opportunity here is that the zombie vessels are handled by some of the majors, of course. So if you're with a rather small NVO forwarder, your time may have passed. But I would suggest that if you are with some of the majors, you just have to keep pressing senior management, depending on how far your connections are, in that NVOCC supply chain hierarchy to get on those vessels. But I know that the discussions are going on now at the highest levels. And what's happening now is the people getting on these zombie vessels, these charter vessels, the people that are able to quickly co-opt their supply chain, their finance, their CFOs, their CEOs, their procurement professionals, and get fast decisions made.
Steve, we just finished talking to Andrew Lockwood, and he was very bah humbug about what's coming in the next 6 months ahead of the Christmas season. He's already looking 6 months in advance. Talk to us. Do you share some of his sentiment? Are you expecting there to be more shortages, more continued just so much pressure on getting imports into the United States that it's going to fall back on the consumer overall?
Well, here's why I'm bullish, and it's going to sound really, really interesting that I picked a tiny move from Amazon that I tracked just last night. Amazon has 74 containers coming in, or they just arrived, of a special type of desk or credenza furniture. And it's not so much the fact of what's in the containers; it's the fact that the containers was sequential, meaning they were, all numerically in sequence as they came from the factory. And this tells me that Amazon had to go out and either ship their own containers, or they had to lease containers. And the other thing about Amazon, for example, with their logistics division, is they have an inherent advantage that they're able to get containers for their NVO division and then use any of the excess for their landed products. So I'm very bullish on the next 6 months. I would take a contrarian position that we still have not seen the worst. We still not have seen the worst of Containergeddon.
Steve, how big is the disparity? Do you have any idea of like how many TEUs are we short right now from being able to clear this this excess demand? How much higher is demand than supply right now?
I think we could basically, and this is just a by the seat of my pants type feel, but I think we could easily put in another 200,000 or 300,000 TEUs, and we might start to really scratch the surface of clearing some of those backlogs. I think the problem's that severe.
I asked that because I saw the news on FreightWaves.com. I think it was I can't remember exactly which liner it was, but they had spent several hundred million dollars to buy 6 or 8 new boats. How long does it take those boats to be built? I mean, is there any chance of those boats hitting the water in the next 12 months?
That's a great question, and I really want to talk about that a little bit. The first off, those new builds won't be coming on until somewhere in Q1, a few of them in Q4 2022, and some of them staggered in Q1 2023. But here's the thing that most people forget. Yes, 1.8 million TEUs and new builds have been ordered, but the carrier management capacity and capabilities, carriers will never go back to the old ways of chasing market share. They will defend and block, just like a hotel room will block a room. Space will be blocked, sailings will be blanked, and if anything, the vessels that are coming off charter to replace the new build, for the new builds replacing the charters will go to the very aggressive freight forwarders. So I see this as almost a self-perpetuating cycle where the smaller forwarders and medium forwarders and larger forwarders can have these boutique vessels. I think it's a really big, important point to take heed of.
Steve, we're coming up to the end of Q2. We're halfway through the fiscal year already. Give us your biggest lesson that you learned from the first 2 quarters of 2021, and then your biggest piece of advice for people going into the last 2 quarters of 2021.
I think the biggest lesson learned, Kaylee, is that one can never be too prepared for the worst case scenario. I'm almost already penciling in another black swan event, and I don't know where she or he, black swan being neutral in gender, will hit. But I believe that in prepping for a black swan, you have to have all your ducks in a row, literally, and have the forwarders, have the ghost vessels, have the feeder vessels, have the zombie ships lined up, get the relationships intact. As I told Andrew a few weeks ago, what's the sense in diffusing a nuclear bomb once it's already gone off?
Mm. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Sorry, Steve, one last question before I get you out of here. You said 10 to 12 months, that's what you are expecting. I mean, are you expecting any lower demand? I mean, we're not expecting much supply to come on at least till the back end of the year or the front end of next year, but is demand going to wane anytime? We've got really low inventories, really strong consumer demand. Is there anything that you're seeing that could put a damper on demand heading into the end of the year?
No, I see demand very continuous and very fluid to the end of the year, and I see us in this current whirlpool effect well through even CNY Chinese New Year next year.
We're all just waiting for that next big disruption event, and it feels like, it's been kind of a quiet June, knock on wood. When is the next nuclear bomb going to go off? Steve, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure that you catch his show, Navigate B2B, coming up this afternoon for all of those insights and even some secrets that he's holding back from us today.
Right, Steve's always got a couple good bits up his sleeve for his show. He doesn't come on and spill us all here on FreightWaves Now, so definitely go tune in to his show.